guys, welcome to Healnlearn. This is Zarina. Today I'm going to be speaking about an interesting document that I came across, a document called Analysis and Assessment of Gateway Process. It is a document on consciousness and how to interact with it, what exactly it is, that is produced by the CIA. I'm going to compare it with the Silva Method, so stay tuned, it's quite interesting. This document was released in 2003 after, or was, declassified, while it was produced in 1983. So it took them quite a long time to keep it secret. Maybe there is a reason why. I'll put the link below. You can read it for yourself if you want. It's about 20 pages long. It starts by describing the difference between types of meditation or of accessing altered states of mind, such as hypnosis, transcendental meditation, biofeedback. And then it explains how hemisync, or the method that is being used for this study, is different. So basically in hypnosis, the left hemisphere of the brain, its activity is suppressed. This means so as to give more prevalence to the activity of the right hemisphere of the brain. But by doing so, your body may become numb. You're basically deprived of any logical left hemisphere driven activities of the body. This is deep hypnosis. Then there's transcendental meditation. This is basically when you hear people going Om and chanting, the Buddhist monk. This is similar to Kundalini psychosis or transcendence. This is basically producing acoustic waves that directly suppress or surpass the left hemisphere. They overwrite it. So how this is done is with exposure to mechanical or acoustical vibrations in the range of 4 to 7 hertz cycles per second for protracted periods. So this may achieve the same effect as if you're chanting Om or whatever you're chanting. Om Mana 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 Prashna. Okay. I'm not making fun of it. I just don't know the mantra. Bentov states the cumulative effect of these vibrations may be able to trigger a spontaneous physio-kundalini sequence in susceptible people who have a particularly sensitive nervous system. Okay. Then we move on to the next way to access your consciousness, which we know about as well and is widely practiced. It is biofeedback. This is the third consciousness altering methodology. Instead of suppressing the left hemisphere, as is done in hypnosis, or largely bypassing and ignoring it, as is done in transcendental meditation, biofeedback teaches the left hemisphere first to visualize the desired result, and then to recognize the feelings associated with the experience of successful right hemisphere access to the specific lower cerebral cortex. So it's very interesting that actually all three of them do not directly access the right hemisphere, but they use leeways, side entrances into either diminishing the function of the left hemisphere, bypassing it altogether, or in the case of biofeedback, using its associative link to feelings and emotions in order to activate the right hemisphere. So they do not directly activate the right hemisphere of the brain. So here we reach the explanation of the hemisync process, or this gateway process, how to get there. The process as described here begins with synchronizing of the right and the left hemispheres of the brain. This is done with sound frequencies. What this achieves is a state of consciousness defined when the EEG patterns of both hemispheres are simultaneously equal in amplitude and frequency. One of the authors of this paper, Melissa Jagger, or one of the people that is quoted, I don't know if she's the author, but she was quoted as a source reference. So she says, she points out the human mind in its natural state may be likened to an ordinary lamp, which expands energy in the form of both heat and light, but in a chaotic, incoherent way, which diffuses its energy over a wide area of rather limited depth. On the other hand, the human mind, under the discipline of hemisync, acts after the fashion of a laser beam, which produces a disciplined stream of light. The stream of energy is projected with total coherence of both frequency and amplitude such that the surface area of a laser beam contains billions of times the concentrated energy found in a similar surface area of the sun. Okay, so once the hemispheres are synchronized comes the resonance part. The resonance part serves for quieting the mind, for going within. It is practiced in transcendental meditation with the humming sounds of Om. Yoga, Zen, or transcendental meditation, if practiced long enough, will produce a change in the sound frequency with which the human heart resonates throughout the entire body. According to Bentov, this change in resonance results from elimination of what the medical profession calls the bifurcation echo, so that the sound of the heartbeat can move synchronously up and down the circulatory system in harmonious resonance approximately 7 times a second. So the bifurcation echo, just to briefly explain, is when the blood from the aorta coming from the heart actually splits around the area of the stomach a bit below, splits into 2 vessels that go down the legs. A part of the blood, though, does not continue down the legs, but it actually returns back. So there's a constant noise. And so when there's a hemisync, or when you're ohming with a certain frequency, there's a resonance from this returned blood back to the heart, right? And this in turn changes the resonance of the entire body, including the hemispheres. This is interesting. So this sine wave, or this frequency that is produced by the repeating sound of humming, functions as a tuned vibrational system, which transfers energy in a range of between 6.8 and 7.5 hertz into the Earth's ionospheric cavity, which itself resonates at about 7 to 7.5 hertz. It propagates consonance or resonance of your energy to the Earth's energy. So you're plugged in now to this overall consciousness. You can use the energy of the Earth to expand your energy so as to access higher states of consciousness and do what you want to do, travel back and forth, change the pattern, and so on. Of course, this is done over a long period of training, just like the Silva Method. I can tell you that the people who have come to my courses, the Healnlearn method, because it's different from the Silva Method, and I'll explain how it is different. But the people who have come to my courses and have achieved significant results have practiced this as I have prescribed every morning and evening. And within 1 week, they usually see a difference. But if you're just relying on these 5 sessions included in the course, your brain is not going to get accustomed to this level of thinking, to this level of frequency, to brain synchronization. So with the Silva Method and with the Healnlearn method that I teach, at some point the process becomes automated, which means you don't need to consciously go into alpha. It becomes so automated that you can access this expanded consciousness at will. But this is done over longer periods of time. So the difference between the Silva Method and the Healnlearn method, apart from other practices that I introduced from a different system developed in the Soviet Union, also in the 80s, around the time of the writing of this document in 83 by the CIA, there was another study conducted that also dealt with the study of consciousness and energy information system, and the energy magnetic influence of and interference of one body to another, the influence that one body can have on another, on groups of people, on egregores or energy information systems that influence a group of people independently, and so on. If you want to learn more, go to the descriptions of my courses. I'll put the links below. Basically, what you're working with, studied, proven, is a hologram, and I will tell you why this is a hologram. In the book Stalking the Wild Pendulum, Itzhak Bentov gives the following figures. The energy grid, which composes the nucleus of the atom, vibrates at approximately 10 to the power of 22 hertz, which means 10 followed by 22 zeros. At 70 degrees Fahrenheit, an atom oscillates at the rate of 10 on the power of 15 hertz. The entire molecule, composed of a number of atoms bound together in a single energy field, vibrates in the range of 10 to the power of 9 hertz. A live human cell vibrates at approximately 10 to the power of 3 hertz. The point to be made is that the entire human being, brain, consciousness and all, is like the universe which surrounds him, nothing more or less than an extraordinarily complex system of energy fields. The so-called states of matter are actually variances in the state of energy, and human consciousness is a function of the interaction of energy in two opposite states, motion versus rest. The consciousness field is a hologram, which is, just like music are different frequencies, holograms are also different frequencies, just in 3D. So basically we can rearrange the matrix with this by accessing the hologram. I will actually be coming back to this study a few more times because there's too much information, too much interesting information and relevant for what we're doing here on this channel. And I cannot cover it in one video. But I wanted to tell you something that I noticed that is really interesting. The most advanced usage of this Hemisync method is looking into the future. Their data states that people could predict the future, or the participants in this study group could predict the future up to 80% of the time. But there was a variance. And I bet you know that all astrologers, tarot readers, anybody who attempts to read your future will have an exactness of maximum 80%. And they say the rest is free will. The Hemisync study group has discovered that if 3 people simultaneously go into Hemisync state with the same intention, and they observe a point in the future from 3 distinct timelines, this means one would observe from the timeline of the past, one would observe from the timeline of the present, and another one will observe from the timeline of the future. This is when a stable vision can be formed, because a triangle is the materialization. Otherwise, you have only 2 points. So this is when you can see, I'm not making this sign, I'm just showing you a triangle. The future can be stabilized by being observed by 3 people. Now, the question is whether you see it or you create it, because with the Silva method, this is why I've said multiple times that when it's done in a group, like the group masterminds that I do, when it's done in a group and people program things in the future, because it's a group, they hold an image from multiple points of view. And they can not only predict, but they can actually program the future. So recently I had somebody come to my group monthly calls, and she had been to my course 3 years ago. And she said, I remember the group told me 3 years ago that I would be serving drinks in my house. She does astrology, she does family constellations, but it was all done online. So recently she started organizing groups coming to her home, and she said, and I saw myself serving people drinks like you had seen back then. That was 3 years ago. So anyhow, I wanted to tell you that when you're looking into the future on your own, you're seeing one possibility. But when 2 or 3 or 3 or more observers are doing that, then the future can be fixed in a way. So I will give you another example. With the Silva Method technique for healing, if somebody is healing another person on their own, not in a group, they by all means have to call in a counsel, somebody to give them a second opinion, whether this is a projection of their own consciousness, whether it's a information complex from a person that is no longer on earth, whether it is an information complex from an egregore, so from a fictional character, whether it is whatever it is, it's a third point of consciousness. So one is the person that is being healed, second is the healer, and the third one is this counsel that gives, like, I always teach people, this is like the second doctor's opinion. You ask them, how should I heal this person? So you create this triangulation when programming the future. So, and now the difference between, again, the Silva method and the method that I'm teaching, the Healnlearn method, is that I put a very strong focus on heart coherence, or what is described here in this book as the resonance. So we also include the vibration of the heart, the well-meaning of the heart. Of course, we include it in a much more humane way, not in a mechanical way, like you don't need to ohm, but you need to invoke this heart energy and feel it in your body. Sometimes it feels like spilling around your body. In general, the Silva Method techniques are very much covered by this document. I mean, and Jose Silva had already created the Silva Method at the time of the creation of this document, but it's not the question, what is first, what is second. The question is what works. And I'm telling you, this is what works. So if you want to look into the future, if you want to program a situation, call a counsel next to you or come to a group. My monthly group calls that I have once a month are now included in the Healnlearn subscription, team subscription, where you get to attend 4 group calls a month with 4 trainers of your choice. So you can choose me as one of these 4 and come to my group call. It's quite affordable for what you're getting. And, you know, the trainers that we have are really amazing. We have Shaman Joe. We have the innovative approach of Augie Karam on alternative economics. We have health and well-being with Anna Steingold. We have internal work and embodiment with Nicolina Werther. Tarot and love relationships, holistic coach Alfredo Diaz. I mean, if I'm missing somebody, there are going to be more people added to this. So do check it out. Thank you very much. Ask your questions, post your comments. I am happy to discuss further this document and all the approaches and all the things you could do with your consciousness. Hope this was useful. Thank you very much for watching. Do share if you think anybody might benefit from this video. Thank you.